Today we're going to pick up right where we left off on the last video. We have the 8.4 inch installed. I've been driving it around like that for a few days and I love it. It's working great, but still can't make phone calls and there's no steering wheel controls. So today I got some parts in. We're going to see if we can get these installed, get everything working, and we'll be that much closer to having the full upgraded package. These are the parts that we're going to be working with today. We have the factory rear panel for the steering wheel. This has the cutouts for the volume and for the forward and back buttons. We have the rear view mirror that has the built-in microphones. This is the OEM Mopar harness for the mirror. These two are some trim panels for the mirror. And then for the steering wheel on the front, we have this little button panel here that allows us to has a phone button so we can make calls. This harness should go in the steering wheel so that we can have these buttons work. It's for the volume, forward and back buttons. So never done this before, so let's see what's involved to get all this to work. This is what I'm currently working with. As you can see, there's some blank buttons up here. So we're gonna switch this out with the new buttons that I got. And this whole steering wheel is going to have to come out so that we can take this apart, get to the inside, switch everything out. I know this airbag is going to have to come out. From what I understand, that's going to be a pain, but we'll see what it takes to get it out. Right now, it seems like the first thing we have to do is remove this top panel. It looks like it's held in by a couple of T15 Torx screws. So we're going to get that out and see what's next. Okay, so now that this top panel is removed, it gives us access to the rear of the airbag. We're gonna have to take this off, but there's gonna be 3 clips in the back. There's gonna be one back here, here, and then one down here. We're gonna have to free those up from the back so that we can pop it out this way. You're gonna have to use something like a flathead or something that you can get in there and pry. So it's almost impossible to show you exactly what I'm talking about, but I'm gonna try to do it. And once it's off, I can show you what it looks like. That was a huge pain, just as I expected. But here's the airbag. There's 2 connections on here, a yellow and a black one. All you do is push in on the sides and then it'll release it. There's 2 of them. So these are the tabs, the 3 tabs that needed to be released. These things just kind of click in, and from the back side you're able to access through the corners. There's one here, access point there, and there's one down there. It's still really hard to see right now, We're going to try to get the steering wheel off. Once everything's off, I think I can better explain what exactly is happening behind here. But for now, we need to get this off. I believe this is, I don't know what this is. It might be a 17 millimeter. We're going to get this taken off. I'm going to try to keep this as center as possible. Whenever this is removed, we need to really be sure to try to keep it in the exact same spot. I may or may not need a puller. We're going to see. But for now, let's get this bolt taken off. We'll be using a 1/2 inch socket. I don't have a steering wheel puller, but this gear puller should work just fine. Kind of improvise a little bit to make it work. Let's try and see if we can get it off. There we go. Steering wheel is off. This is the clock spring. You want to be careful not to mess with it. Don't touch it. Don't take it off. Just leave it as is. It should be in the upright position. So we're going to take the steering wheel, flip it around, and let's see what we have. So now that we can see the back of the steering wheel, you can see that these are the 3 locations. You're going to see these little black tabs. 1, 2, 3. On the other side is where the airbag sits, and that's where the prongs go. So what you're trying to do is getting something like a flathead and sticking the screwdriver in, and then you're prying it out. So what you're doing is prying this prong. So you can't see what you're doing, so when you find these black tabs, just know if you kind of stick a flathead in, you're trying to feel for the prong, and then you're gonna push it out on all sides. Flat in, push it out, stick it flat in, and then push it out. You're gonna have to do one side at a time. I found that it's easier if you get the bottom first. So just rotate the steering wheel up. Try to, I don't know if it's to be the same on your truck, but it's way easier to get the bottom off first, and then just take it from there. Work slow, be careful. Try not to push it back in. Like once you release one side, it's real easy if you're not careful to kind of push the prong back on, and then you just basically did it for nothing. So be careful with that. Also, don't do what I did. Freak out whenever you hear the horn go off. That might happen, so just be careful. As you can see, this back cover, it has just these blanks here on both sides. This is where the button should be. So we're gonna get this cover removed, swap it over, swap over the buttons and the harness, and yeah, that's about it. Looks like there's a couple of torque screws on here we have to remove. We have 4 more torque screws we have to remove in here. Now that we have that removed, we need to be real careful on how we switch everything over. I don't want to make a mistake and, you know, put something in the wrong place or pinch one of the wires or something. So we need to make sure everything's routed correctly. So I'm just going to do one thing at a time. I think right now the first thing we should do, replace this little panel down here, the button in the front. It looks like that's going to be some kind of torque screw, so we'll see what we need there, get that removed, swapped over, and take it from there. First thing we want to do is swap these new buttons over. There's going to be 3 screws, 2 on the bottom, 1 on top. Once we remove those, this should come right out. Old one out, pop the new one in. We're gonna have to switch out this black harness for the new one, and this new one is gonna give us the connections for the volume and for the track forward and back. So let's get this swapped out. Alright, so now these 2 connections are what's going to allow us to plug in the buttons. So we can kind of move that over. We're going to have to get the new buttons popped in place here. All they do is click in. Should be pretty simple. There is one, they look identical. They look very much the same. The part number, there's 99 AD and then there's 98 AD. The 99 AD I know goes on the left side. I'm not sure which would be volume up, which would be down. That part I don't know. So we're just gonna pop them in, plug everything up, and then we'll just do a test fit, see how it works, and if not, we'll just have to flip them around. But let's see if we can pop these in. Okay, now that everything's in, flip it around. You want to make sure that everything is nice and tucked away. Nothing's in the way. All the harnesses are tucked away inside the plastic trim. And then we're just gonna get everything screwed back in, get it put back on. So I had a mix of Phillips screws as well as Torx screws. I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if somebody messed with this before, but either way, everything's back in, tightened up, and we're ready to put this back on. Just try to make sure that everything is lined up, the steering wheel is straight, We're gonna run this through the center, get everything plugged in, and get it reassembled, test it out. Now we can plug this back up. I did disconnect the battery. All you have to do now is just line it up, push it back in, and everything's in place. But before I push this in, because it is such a pain to get out, I'm gonna make sure everything's working, turn it on, and we'll go from there. All right, let's see. There you go, volume's working. Up, down, that works. Changing stations. Yeah, looks like it's working. See if this works.
Sorry, I didn't get that. You can save things to cancel.
All right, well, I don't know what any of that does, but it's working. So we're gonna start putting everything back on, get the top cover back on, and then we'll get to the rearview mirror. All right, so now we can replace this mirror with the new one. This is just a standard mirror, there's nothing to it. We're gonna be putting this one on there. It has an assist button, 911, microphones up here. This is what we really need. And I do believe I have these options as well. I might have to enable them in the Alpha app, I'm not sure. But either way, this is what I'm worried about. It looks like it might also be either rain sensing or auto dimming, I'm not sure. Either way, pretty cool upgrade. I needed both my hands for that one, so I couldn't really film it, but if you look on the back of the mirror, there's these little metal prongs that hold it in place, and there's just a bolt up there that holds it. So all you have to do is grab a hold of the base, just kind of rotate it, and then it'll pop right off. With the new mirror, it's the same thing, goes on the same way, has those same prongs, but now we're gonna have a connection point. So we are gonna have to run the new harness. Luckily for me, I already have my headliner off. So with the new harness, I should be able to just plug it in, run it exactly where it's supposed to go. And there's a factory location on the side where it plugs in through. So let's get this on, see if we could find a way to route it and get it plugged in. Give it a twist, locks right in. And it looks like, because it's from Mopar, it looks like these plug into they have factory spots for these little clips. So we'll see if we can get it routed. So once this is all routed up, I still have to run it down here somehow. We only have one plug at the very end of it. And once we pop off this side panel, you can see that there's a factory location right here. And that's where this plug goes. So we just have to find a way to route it down in here, get it plugged up, everything put back together, and that should be it. Everything is installed, connected, it's working properly. You can see that the mirror is lighting up. Volume working really well. Everything's working. Call button. I already made a few phone calls just to test it out. It's working really good. You can hear very clearly. It sounds good. I'm happy with it. That's it for this video. We're just doing a little bit at a time. Hopefully next video we can either do the CarPlay option or maybe even install the backup camera. Maybe even tail lights. I'm not sure. But either way, there's plenty coming up, so I hope y'all stay tuned for that. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.